Hello everyone, it's Paige with The Paige Show. Thanks for joining us for another episode. Today is all about the society of shaming. So I'm going to start with a disclaimer right off. I am not talking about anything here that I haven't been a part of myself at some point. Yes, it is hard to admit that. I like to say I've been, or I have tried my best through the years to not be, for example, one of the women who look at another woman and judge the way she looks, her appearance, her whatever, these little petty things that can happen at different stages in life. But I know no matter what the topic, we've all found ourselves at the other end of being the person shaming, whether we meant to or not. But we have especially, I'm sure, been on the tail end of being shamed for whatever it may be. Are we too skinny? Are we too fat? I know you guys hear me on that one. Is your hair too blonde or is it too dark? Do you have gray hair, or are you all about dyeing it and you're not that natural chick? I mean, really, we could keep listing them. There are so many things that we find in society, especially right now, to shame each other with. It's about sex, it's about identity, it's about your kids. Are they behaved? Are they wild? Are you breastfeeding? Are you bottle feeding? I mean, the list goes on, and it's all for what? Like, what do we really achieve? Like, what are we going to do with all of the shaming? Like, where does it go? And what is the point of it all? Have you guys ever really thought about that? Like, what do we gain? And how do we navigate? What's the compass for navigating a society of shaming if we're buried in the shame? Like, how does that even work? I just think about these things all the time, and ironically, this one came to me just on the end of a conversation about health and fitness and, the too fat, the too skinny, have you lost too much weight? Are you gaining too much weight? I mean, it's always that topic, especially with women. And in my mind, because it's the Paige Show and you guys have already saw a glimpse of me, it just went crazy with this. And so, of course, I wrote it all down because some things I just can't keep in my brain, and I know they're good, and it's like that divine download. I needed to get it out, and so that's what we're doing today. What is it about wealth and finance being related to success, or you're not successful if you do A, B, or C? And it's personal, it's professional. Shame is everywhere, and we're just buried in it. We're buried in it. So what do we seek from shaming each other into this false sense of conforming to whatever box that our uninvolved minds want to put us in? Have you ever thought about that? Because it's our unevolved minds that's doing the shaming, that's saying something you're doing doesn't seem right, and I'm going to put an opinion on it, and I'm going to tell you all of the things that are wrong about what you're doing, with sometimes very little self-reflection back as to potentially you're doing the same things, or you have the same issues in your life, right? And so we want to put people in a box. I think we're seeing right now society is not letting us put them in a box anymore. We are standing up, and you see it in the rebellion, you see it in a lot of things, and unfortunately you see it in a lot of people even choosing to exit. Or more serious topic, people are done with the shaming, and whether they can verbalize it or not, you're going to see it in their actions. And as we enter deeper into this age of change, you're going to see it even more in actions, because some of us don't have our voice yet. We haven't found that voice yet. But either way, we're refusing to get in the box. A good example is my 3-year-old. He plays with one of those old school toys. He's an Aquarius. He likes his mind going, and he knows that the square doesn't fit in the triangle. Like, you can't push it. It's not going to go. It doesn't fit. And he'll sit there with patience, and he'll just keep going until he figures out the right shape for that. Whereas some of my other kids, would have thrown it or broke it or whatever. Like, you can see their personalities in a little task like that. But he understands already that this doesn't fit in this box, that everything is not the same. That shape doesn't go there, no matter how much you force it or you tell it that it should. And so as adults, I think that would be a great lesson for us to learn and pass down to the next generations and generations, because it's a ripple effect. Take it from a 3-year-old, understand that not everything fits in the same square, because not everything's a square. We're not in the same box. And by doing that, we could let go of some of these temper tantrums we're having about not liking certain things that leads to us shaming it, and we could really instead gain some coping abilities of how to move forward in life in a world who is no longer going to accept the shaming, not in the sense that we have let it go for all of this time. All right. And so really it comes down to what is happening behind the scenes that creates this shame or this shaming effect. And it all comes down to beliefs from personal experience, events that have happened around you or to you, but just walking through this life alone. We gain experience, and through experience, we gain opinions. But as we all know, opinions don't mean shit, right? Like, an opinion is an opinion. There could be a very valid opinion. It could be accurate. It could be have research-based, proof behind it, and you could prove to everyone why your opinion is right, but it's still an opinion. And to someone else who doesn't share that same belief or thought, or who gives a crap to listen to you about proving it, they're still not going to care about your opinion. So really, opinions matter how? Right? If we look at it that way, it doesn't. But we form these opinions from these experiences, good, bad, ugly, all of the things that happen on this human experience, on this journey. And so those opinions correlate often to beliefs that we then take upon as our truth. So our opinion was this, we thought it was valid, now we believe this. And if you don't fit in that belief, then you're not in the box that I would like you to be in, okay? And when you rebel against that box, then I can't have an open mind, I can't have a relationship with you or whatever, because now I have a different title on you, right? A title that doesn't work in my world. And the titles can be around identity, sexual orientation. We have a lot of titles out there that we're throwing around. And if you listen to my series, Diaries of a Medium, where I talk about titles, I can't wait to do a whole series just on that. You guys will know that titles also do not matter. They're like opinions, okay? It's about the person. It's about the soul tie. So these belief systems are holding you back from really understanding any of that, or how to carry on into the future, because what is happening around us is changing whether we like it or not. The age of change is here. Listen to that episode if you haven't. The breakup has happened. We are in it, okay? And so if you're in it, screaming and kicking and fighting, you're still in it. So let's just be in it in a way that actually serves our highest good. Let's stop fighting the flow so much. And one way to do that is to start looking at your beliefs. What is causing you to have the shame? Whatever shame that you may be projecting out onto others or yourself, or just thinking and keeping it all bottled up. What's causing that? Okay? And see if they actually serve as a foundation for anything in your life, or is there something that you could shift? Because society is shifting. We live in this physical world. We're not all on the same exact spiritual journey. Journal, that probably has a place in there too. but we're all in this together. We're all connected. It's still that ripple effect. And so that's why a society of shaming, it has to shift. And I believe that it is. We see that. Today's talk is really about just encouraging us to be a part of that shift, to stop being a part of the shaming in whatever way you find yourself contributing to that. Let's start to shift it. It starts with one, right? And so part of expanding our consciousness is being creative in how we live on this side of the veil and how we reshape our world to benefit and to fit our reality, the reality that we're in, all right? So you don't have to be friends with people that you disagree with. I encourage you to try, though. It's pretty interesting. That is a whole different type of tie, but I understand there are some people that just don't serve you, okay? I am all about the boundaries too. And so, you don't have to be friends with certain energies, but you don't have to shame, okay? You don't have to create belief systems that really aren't true based on a feeling about someone, and you don't have to pass that down to future generations by carrying the torch of something that maybe you don't even know the basis behind, right? Something that was just shared with you or something that was put on you that's causing part of the shaming, especially with beliefs. If you haven't discovered them for yourself, you can't really say that they are truly yours. We have to embrace it in our own experience to know what our truth is. It can't always be told to us, right? And so if you do that, you're partaking in the society of shaming, and those are times where maybe you don't even realize you are. You didn't even see anything wrong with it because it was just taught to you for so long, all right? So let's embrace that. But anyway, on our way to enlightenment, we want to make sure that our core beliefs throughout life are open to change, right? Because we change, hopefully we evolve. And so something that we believed a year ago or 2 years ago, maybe it shifted a little bit if we stay open-minded and we see how certain things apply. There will always be foundational beliefs that make you who you are. They're your foundation. They keep the house solid, right? But everything else is up for debate. If you are on the journey of evolution and a higher consciousness, you will see that you're always learning and your eyes will be always open to something new. And so with this, a good example is how we raise our kids versus how our parents raised us or the grandparents raised them. We cannot, you will not see millennials, okay, raising their children maybe even the same way that I do. And I'm just like right on that cusp, okay? I just made it with the XYZers or whatever, I'm on that cusp. I got to see a time before there were cell phones or internet, and then I got to live, and I'm currently living in the time now where there's just everything, right? And so I'm one of those rare breeds of people, and we aren't going to raise our kids the way that our parents raised us. And so beliefs that were taught to us based on our parents and how they were raised, those aren't going to serve us anymore. They can't. Even technology-wise, their parents would have known nothing about this. Our parents, some of them have no idea what's happening right now to be able to even help their grandkids, So that's a perfect example of even how you're being raised, that can't carry the same way through generations because things change and you have to know how to go with that change and what is irrelevant for that time, right? And so with the shaming involved, you shaming someone into doing something that's not serving anyone anymore, you're not really causing them to do it, okay? That's the key there that we're all missing is you can shame someone and it may look like they're obeying, for lack of a better word, but they're not. It's buried under all the craziness that you see in the world right now. Anxiety, depression, people choosing to exit. That's a really, really hard one that is happening a lot more often now. society is going crazy. And if we're lucky, people do decide to keep that to themselves and not be on a rampage to take the lives of the rest of us in a moment of anger or that last straw from a society that has shamed them long enough and they're done. All right. And so if nothing else matters to what I'm saying, understand that when you see all the stuff that makes you scared on the news and you make comments like, I don't know what I'm doing raising children in this type of world, all of that stuff, yeah, you're contributing to that world. If you're a part of the shaming, you're contributing to what is causing a lot of people to lose their mind because they can't be in a box anymore. All right, this is serious. I'm laughing, I'm smiling. I want to bring some light to a very hard topic, but it's very serious in the sense of this is happening. If you don't see this, then maybe you see it after today's episode because it's happening, all right? And it's real. Society is just as a whole going crazy. We're a bunch of rats in a cage, and we need to find our way, and we need to get our energy out, and we need to have outlets because there is so much pressure from everyone, and shaming is a huge one. It's a huge one that creates that pressure. And so we're really hurting ourselves more. We're hurting this society that we're wanting to live in by shaming others. And when you don't realize that that comes back on you, you're surprised or shocked by it in, unfortunately, some very tragic ways if you become part of an incident of someone hurting you or you being part of some of the craziness. If that falls in your world, then you understand that this is really real. And the more love and light that we could pass out to the world, the better chance we have of attracting that energy back and maybe shaping the vibration a little bit, right? One person at a time. So, our connection to source, that's where the compassion is, this love and acceptance, everything that I'm talking about to help get rid of the society of shaming, it's all in that vibration. And so we have to start to shift it to feel that, to know that what I'm saying is true, and that this is something that we're facing that really needs to be looked at a little harder. One of my favorite movies of all times is Talladega Nights. I know you're all looking at me like, why and how does this get into the subject? But it's because of really there's lots of parts, but one part in particular where he's like, I like to think of my Jesus and so, I think of my Jesus that's where I'm going with this movie. Mine is a badass, right? He's this ascended master who was a prostitute loving, rule breaking, bully squashing Jesus, all right? That's my kind of Jesus. And all through the Bible, you'll see examples of that if you've really studied the Bible. And if you think about what he really did, he was ascended master for Christianity. Check out that series. It's coming soon. I'm working on it. And he tried to really break up old thinking, old patterns. He didn't want that shaming anymore. He was a part of it. He was being shamed. He was trying to show people the way out of that, right? And so he really wanted to do all of that to shift this higher consciousness at the time, because he was ascended master, way above his time. He needed to be. He had a lot of work to do, right? And he did it through easy lessons like, cast the first stone. I know if you're a part of Christianity, you've heard that a million times. And if you've heard it, it's probably because you found yourself on the end of being the person being judged or the person that was shaming, all right? And it's so, so true. And if you've never thought about that, really think about what that means to you in your life right now, and a place or an area where maybe you could shift that that a little bit, and that's the beginning of what I'm talking about, the first step, the first change. So it may be beyond our current level of comprehension, what's really happening behind all of this, or the shift that I'm talking about, but part of it just has to fall in your soul, whatever serves you right now. I say that all the time. So stay with it and let that part help you understand that instead of shaming, we really should be learning more. We should be learning about the stuff that we don't understand that we're wanting to shame. So Jesus was just one of many ascended masters. We have, Buddha and Gandhi and Martin Luther King, and the list goes on. Like, I can't even say them all. We've been so blessed with gifts from Spirit. But as a whole, they all have really dealt with whining and betrayal, and they were shamed themselves, and they really kept going into their last breath, whether taken from them or exited. Normally, they continued their mission. And in Jesus's example, his last breath really opened up the veil, our connection to Source. I talk about that in Diaries of a Medium. And because of that, he left us this power that we can access that connects us to Source and those higher vibration energies that would allow us to no longer feel okay in this level of shaming. That vibration that shame comes from, we wouldn't even feel like at home there anymore. Okay, you'd have to change and shift when you start to take on some of these other things. And so it's really about growth. That's what he wanted. That's what we all want, hopefully. And all of the great ones that you could think about came to teach that change. And we need that more than anything now. We need to go back and remember the lessons of the people from the past, look at the people who are still with us, and take from them what we can. And no matter where you find yourself in beliefs, you should have someone that you think of when I say that, someone that you look up to or that speaks to you when you hear them. Something they say really speaks to you. You guys know what I'm talking about when I say that. And so with the gift to connect, we have the ability to tap into these vibrations that would prevent us from staying in the society of shaming, realm of things. And it would help expand our consciousness, expand what we're doing in this physical human experience. It would make it all better. And so, how we share what we get and, what we do with that is really up to you. What you want to do and how you change things starting with you is up to you. But people in this life, no matter who's listening right now, if you are shaming them, they are being brave. If they're still going, they have decided to brave the shame, be different, teach a different message despite your criticism, despite your shaming, or your negative opinions. All right. And I can envision Spirit just collectively banging their ethereal heads against the wall, right? Against the veil. They're just banging it there, and they're like, really, people, we've sent you all of this information. It's right here for you to access, and you're still doing it. You're still doing these things, all right? Luckily, there's grace, and they expect us to be a little stupid. So they're still hanging in there with us, but it's really our job to see the imperfection in us that could lead us to why we're wanting to find the imperfection in others. And so what I'm really trying to say here is we can just do better. Let's find a way to do better, get away from the shaming, and start to shift our stuff. Shift it or shit on it. That's what I say. If you can't shift it, then it's something you can't work with, and you need to let it go because it's not serving you. So let's accept our imperfections. If we do nothing, just fix ourselves first, all right? And the rest will work itself out. Start to love who you see in the mirror so you don't have a reason to shame anyone else for what they're doing. All right, let's start there. That's really where everything stems from. That's where we can start to reflect on a lot of things. And no matter what, if you have an intent to fix yourself, then the rest of the world can be happy happy to welcome you in, all right? Even imperfect, because guess what? We're all imperfect. We're all gonna mess up. We're all gonna have shortcomings, and we might always find ourselves on one side of the shaming, but it's really what we do after. It's how we fix it. It's how we correct it. It's how we move forward that really matters. So if you decide to do nothing today, then at least own your shit. Own what you are right now. Who you are when you look in the mirror. Own it. And hopefully we get to hang out with you long enough or tolerate you long enough to see you change. But for the rest of us who want to see a society of shaming change and shift so that we're all free to be wherever we want outside of the boxes that people want to put us in, then let's do that. Let's do that together. If you're tired of being on the other side of shaming, or you're even tired of being the one who's doing it and you want to shift it, then decide to do that. Take your one step of doing that. Let the rest of it go. Okay, you'll get back to it. There's plenty for us to do. Start with one thing. And then that way you're not putting your unhealed crap on other people, and instead you're actually fixing it. You're doing better each day. And if you don't do good today, wake up tomorrow and try again. All right, that's the beauty of getting to wake up again on this side of the veil. So society of shaming, it's coming to an end. You can get with it, people. You can be on the side that doesn't put people in a box. Or you can sometime very soon find yourself very lonely, because we are not going to tolerate it anymore. We do not want to be held down anymore. We all have work to do and something to contribute in this life. And even if you can't understand what the something is that someone else is doing, at least just sit back and let it go. Let it just write itself out. You don't have to have an opinion about everything, all right? Really hard things to swallow. But you do have a responsibility for you and how you are a part of the society of shaming.